Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of Attack Productions. Today I'm back being joined once again by Jimmy, Jake, and like always, Fluff.
Sir, what's going on, y'all?
What's up, beautiful people?
In today's matchup, something I've actually been waiting for a while, we just haven't had a chance to record it. Jimmy rebuilt Whis. It's one of those fun decks that a lot of people don't really think a lot about, but it could be potentially really good. And I'm just really excited to see something old coming back into our circulation again. So, like always, hope you all enjoyed. Click those buttons down below. But let's take it away. Jimmy, Whis.
Yeah, so Whis is was a odd deck for its time, which it's weird to say that since it was just, a couple sets ago. But the game has kind of moved more and more into this weird engines utilizing skillless realm. And Whis is one of those decks that I think does it best. Just because you get so much free value just off of the cards that are ran inside of the engine. Now, the downside to it is that 90% of the deck is dedicated to the engine. And usually when decks are like that, the deck is not all that powerful due to its engine being such a limitation. Where this engine is actually really solid. Like you see there, I get a 5k combo and then a body out of it for completely free.
Yep. And you draw too, don't you?
You draw if you have the one-drop Whis in play, which usually the best play is always turn one drop Whis, get your top 5 search. Then you combo skillless, replace itself, play the skillless, turn 2, slam the unison, and then you have your entire engine set up by turn 2.
Yep.
And it just requires you seeing the cards in your hand, which if you run 8 and then run 4 of the Whis searchers, you pretty much never have an issue of not seeing a skillless, even though I somehow still do it sometimes.
Yep.
We got Fluff bringing back Zamasu from the week before, if I'm correct.
I played it last week.
Yeah, well, this video will be coming out at the end of this week, so the week before.
So yeah, week before, yeah. This deck is a lot of fun to play. One of the biggest problems with this matchup, particularly for me, is I'm familiar with Whis, but I'm playing around the Zamasu super combo. I'm trying to attack with my leader before I do anything, especially with battle cards. So you'll kind of notice that as we move along, because I couldn't remember if Jimmy plays the Zamasu super combo or Krillin super combos.
I run it as a one of. I don't remember if it actually comes up in this match at all.
I'm not sure. I don't remember, but I was playing around it the entire game, even above and beyond, flying Nimbus, because my value comes from my leader.
Exactly. Which I talked about it in the deck profile, that Nimbus is just becoming less and less of from when I got into this game, Nimbus was just such a god card because it was the only card that just basically said, "Hey, your turn's over,"
Yeah.
And in the early times of this game, basically Nimbus was just as good as a baby hatch in a lot of situations, which is weird to say now. Where I have this such low opinion on flying Nimbus, where every time I draw it, I get really excited, then I look at my opponent's field, and it's well, they have a unison, and their leader's going to attack me twice, and if I'm playing against Soul Striker, it's going to attack me 2 more times using the Bardock, which I think you run the Bardock in this list as well. I think you comboed it off earlier. So, really, Nimbus doesn't do much for me in a lot of matchups, and it's usually the first card to get cited out, and it's usually not replaced by another negate.
I'll concur with that. Playing Topo Lock, Nimbus always felt worst of all the negates to play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's argument to remove the card, but I'm a little hard-headed when it comes to Nimbus, so I keep it as a 2 of.
It always guarantees. It's one of those cards that if you remove it or don't include it in a list, you're going to come up against a match that you wish you had it.
And That's what I've said about Champa. It's every time that I don't include it, I'm like, I wish I had a Champa in this list. So it's just one of my deck building like rules. It's like 4 super combos, 1 Champa. Okay, what else can I run?
Yep. My general thought at this point in the game is basically to just try to keep pace with your resource. And one of the really interesting things about Whis is while it does a lot, everything that it does pretty much replaces itself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very forward type of engine that I'm just trying to play to keep up with.
Like I said, it's a very strong engine, and the only limiting factor is that you have to run so many slots in your deck are dedicated to this engine. But Yellow has gotten so many fantastic tools, like the Poutine on board here, which I didn't know if it really did a lot against you. I didn't know exactly what you run. I was kind of familiar with your list. I knew you were going to be countering a lot, but I didn't know how many cards you're going to be playing by skill.
Not a ton. Not in this list particularly. But also, it is having an impact. While I say not a ton, it is having some effect. So
Poutine is a card that you just have to acknowledge. It's not a card that you can just forget about being on field. You always have to be knowledgeable of it. Because even if you don't play a lot of cards by skill, every time you counter, I'm tapping something too. And if you're playing a blocker heavy deck, tapping down a blocker just because you wanted to play whatever negate is really, really heavy.
And sometimes it only takes one Poutine proc to make the difference in a game.
Mm-hmm.
It really only does take that one time.
In a way, like Poutine kind of just turns off Overwhelm. Unless you have another way that you can easily proc the skill, because it is a once per turn skill, or is a skill that triggers on the first one and resolve there no matter what. Unless you have a way to proc the skill and let it fizzle, your Overwhelm cards are just turned off. You can play them, but you're not going to get any value out of swinging with them.
Here we were... we got kind of tied up there over... Jimmy didn't catch me paying energy for Beto's Double Strike and then the Sensu Bean, so I had to walk through and do that, and it just tilted me a little bit, so I ended up drop areaing the Beto when he shouldn't have. But we immediately fixed it because I put the 5k boost on the leader, so now my leader's 20k. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I would have liked to have done here is I would have been able to Encouraging Presence Manaka immediately on this first swing to have another Double Strike. But I didn't want to tap out totally to do it. Like, I'm okay with tapping out, but I didn't want to tap out. Mm-hmm. So I just decided to burn a Champa here. Hopefully get you to take the 2. But I'm pretty confident that you're going to just combo out of it.
Which, this was actually a fantastic mind game, even after the screwy Beto play that still confused me at this point in the game, because I was still thinking, like, he tapped a yellow energy for Bean. What the fuck? Like, but, because that's just what I saw when I looked up. But seeing the Champa come down, I was like, okay, well, I don't have to worry about another Champa unless he wants to tap out, because, why would he do that? Or he would burn another Bean to untap energy to play a Champa. But then you just turn around and go Manaka, and I'm like, oh, shit. Like, why didn't you do that on the first one? So I thought that was actually like a big brain play that I just blew over my head at the time.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of make one of those harder to get you to waste more resources out of, and then of course you just hit a blocker there. So that was kind of unfortunate, but I'm still okay with it. I'll say one of the really frustrating things about the Whis engine, and it's a piece that people don't oftentimes recognize, but that Goku and Vegeta, the 3-drops, because they replace themselves if they're removed by skill, it can sometimes be problematic to get rid of those.
It places itself with its counterpart. So if Goku gets removed, I get to play the skillless Vegeta. If Vegeta gets removed, I get to play the skillless Goku.
Yep.
And I don't think it comes up in this match, but I do run Ox Kings as well, which if you slam both of those, then all your 3 drops or less have barrier. And then now it becomes a thing of your opponent spends so many resources for barrier removal, and then you still get another 2-drop barrier.
Yeah. It's almost not worth it to even, like, it's almost worth it to just deal with that card's turn to turn pressure. Like here, I took the double strike on the Vegeta, just trying to get through, and I'm tapped out here, so I don't want to go big. I got punished here because of Poutine, but I had to do this, otherwise I was afraid of getting chomped and dying there.
Which it's again, like I said, it's a Poutine's a card you have to be aware of, and there's not many decks that can just, in a battle that Baby Hatch comes down, remove it within that same battle.
Yeah, for no resources.
Exactly. And I want to talk about this 3-drop Goku, the blue Goku. His auto is that it just KOs anything in rest mode, which at the time when this came out was unheard of in yellow. There was very few cards that could just remove in yellow straight up. Most of the time it would tap down something or negate its skills, and that was its way of dealing with cards on the board. But this Goku just straight up puts it, just KOs it.
And those aren't leader locked, by the way. Those can be teched into any blue deck or any yellow deck. And I'm surprised they haven't seen more cross usage, because they're fantastic cards.
Yeah. Whis plays them really well because the leader effect can also just tap one, drop one of its skilllesses in play, and then play the 3-drop from the deck, which is also a fantastic play. Or you have the option of just paying 1 energy, drawing a card, which again replaces itself in your hand, and then evolving, which has become my favorite way of playing it out.
Yeah.
Now, big Zeno hit. Like, that's why you run Zeno. Zeno is just the best blue field clearance, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, it is. Just being able to -5 hit the entire field. Unfortunately, you do get your recovery effect, and you do still have 2 cards on the field, which is pretty unfortunate for me. So now I have to figure out how I'm going to play through the rest of this turn. And in hindsight, I don't know if this was very resource intensive for me. But I was trying to, gotta have it if you got it. If you don't, okay. I'm trying to put you in a spot here and make you show what you've got. So that was the real point of doing this.
Which I had played this Goku Black in my old Zamasu list, and I had forgotten exactly what the text was. So as soon as it come down, I was like, "Well, that's fucking GG, bro," because I thought it was going to blow out my energy. But you have to have 5 energy on your side, correct?
Your opponent has to have 5 energy.
Oh, gotcha.
So
okay.
Yeah, and then it blows out 2 of their energy if they have 5 total, but you're only at 4. So really, I played this card a turn too early, which is okay because I've still got triple strike on it. And of course, like I said, you've got to have it, and you did have it, which I think you were still at 4 either way, so it wouldn't have killed you, but it would have been a massive blow for you to have to deal with that.
Certainly. And also the lost my train of thought. I'm sorry, Bancroft cut this.
Nope.
Shut up, Bancroft. No one asked you. Dick.
I'm also kind of at a point now where So in my head, I'm a little worried because I don't run the most defensive deck in the world for blue. Like, this is a more pressure, hand advantage type of match. But, like, I'm usually tapping out and maybe passing the turn with one energy open. So I don't run a lot of the floodgate type cards that blue has access to in this deck. So, and you've got 3 Skillless on the field about to move in. So I know I'm minimally going to have to deal with 5 attacks and probably more realistically look at dealing with like 8 to 9 attacks.
So the activate man on the leader is once per turn, which in a situation like this would have been insane, being able to swing with all 3, then tap 3, and then play, 3/3 drops in their place.
Yeah.
So they had the foresight of putting once per turn on that effect. But I do have a Goku evolved target in hand. I believe it's a Goku, and I believe it's the Vegeta that I grabbed from the deck this turn. Spoiler alert. But also at this time, I was playing around the idea of you having the Zamasu super combo. That's why I decided to swing with lead first before doing anything else, just to ensure that draw.
Yeah.
Because me and you, we have talked before about how much we enjoy that card.
It's the best super combo in the game, and I'll still stand by that. Like,
I think I'd have to agree. There's a lot of really good super combos that could go in its place in certain decks, but I feel like Zamasu has, I think out of every super combo in the game, Zamasu has won me more games than
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not running it in this list. I run a 2-2 split on the Zeno and the Gogeta, the Vegeta. Unfortunately, the Zeno doesn't do much for me here because my energy is already not very high quality. Here I am flashing the hand for the camera. You can see I don't have a lot to play off of here, and I'm at 1 life. So I have a lot to do. All I can do is I'm basically counting here how far Jimmy goes and what's left in my hand after that happens. And I know I still have to get through 2 attacks after that. So I pretty much resigned myself that I've lost this game because I don't have any super combos. I'm not going to draw into more answers.
And Fluff is always the player that always holds like the ace in his sleeve. So at this point in the game, I'm thinking I'm losing right now, and it's funny to hear Fluff say that on the other side because I'm thinking like Fluff has to have something at this point. He always does. And then I decided to go for the minus on Bados, which allows me to play 2 Skilllesses from my drop area. And I think at this point you just went like, you got it. Like,
yeah, there's really? Like, I could have survived the other way had you sequenced incorrectly. I guess is like, or not like gone full in on either of those 2 swings and then just passed your turn to kill me on the crackback after that. I could have survived, but once you did that, like, you literally don't even have to combo on any of your swings, and I run out of resource in my hand to combo through all of those. So after 2 attacks, I'm out of combo, out of a 15k combo, and then, just dead after that.
And with that being said, thank you all for tuning in. Keep in mind for our local people, whenever Fluff flashes the camera of his cards, it either means he has a really good hand or a really bad hand. Fluff, lead us out.
Yep. It's mainly to remind myself to talk about shit when we're kind of going over it, and in that instance, talking about how I knew it was the end. But that happens sometimes. You can't win them all. Jimmy outplayed me on that one. Kudos to him. That the Whis deck is awesome. It's not getting nowhere near enough his respect as it deserves. But as always, read your cards, know your plays. Let us make the mistakes so that you don't have to. Fluff out.